everyone, to the 104th live stream. This is 2 years. Yeah, we're two years.
Woo!
Wow. I mean, it's more than 2 years, but we're gonna call it 2 years.
Yeah,
Why?
I mean,
Yeah.
it marks like 2 years of streams that we've done. So
Yay.
yeah,
Yeah.
our birthday was back at Christmas time when we had our 100th stream.
You know what? Because we're obviously gonna go for it forever. If when we get to the 501st stream, we have to just draw stormtroopers or clone troopers from Star Wars.
We don't want to
Nerd
do that.
reference.
That's how we get into trouble.
Disney's gonna come
But
after us.
51st team. It was a joke. I was only kidding.
I know. I don't want to get hit by Disney. It's scary.
or just Darth Vader. Who's scarier, Darth Vader or Mickey Mouse?
Mickey Mouse.
Mouse. So, is there anyone here that has art that we should do first, or are we just gonna go in the
No one said anything yet, so we're just gonna do the thing. Julie, do the thing.
Yay. Do the thing.
I love it. Sundor and Strange and Chad like, woo, 2-year anniversary, and it's smiley emotes, and we're just like, hey, we're on. Whoa, cool.
Whoa!
Whoa.
Holy Batman.
Whoa.
Yeah. Flashing black screen.
We've
Don't
been
worry.
drawing for so long that we flew around the sun twice.
Whoa.
That's what we've done here today.
Also, shout out to CPC, my fellow Aries in the house. Oh, yeah.
What?
What, you guys don't know your signs?
I do, but like, it's just funny the way you said that.
I
My
don't
fellow Aries in the house, what up?
I feel like... What?
Mine just says
What's yours?
long-haired freaky people need not apply.
Fellow cancer peeps, no, not that kind of cancer. Raise your hands.
Wait, no, not that cancer.
Unless it is the other kind of cancer, in which case, probably don't.
So Fluttershy.
So Fluttershy. Yeah,
He's very cute.
Yeah.
Fluttershy.
He's
So
just
let's
getting
talk.
along with
Let's
us
talk
then.
horses. The first one is by Acrylic Breath. That's how I died.
He just figured it out. Like, that's why I'm a zombie.
This was established a while ago. He ate the paint.
Oh my gosh.
True. It's canon. It's the...
I
MLP
wasn't
DS
around for
canon.
this lore. That's cool. So this is a very, very super pretty picture. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Even the way it's pinned is very nice.
It's got nice soft pastel colors too.
I like sort of the use of shapes, like the mouth and just the gentle, like this really subtle fluff you got, and like the use of lines not being overbearing is it sort of all works together to make a really nice sort of like
Yeah.
soft springtime sort of picture. It's very nice. I would say the lines that you do have are only solely on the body and the eyes and stuff. So like, I feel like maybe just like a little bit on the hair, just in certain places, like maybe where it's dripping over the face, because it looks like you sort of struggle to define the shape of the strands of hair there. So maybe if you gave that like a little bit of a line, then it
That
sort of give you a better
contrast.
job. Yeah, give you like a bit of a better job sort of defining, okay, this is how these strands are flowing and the shape they're going in. And yeah, it would sort of help to not even add contrast, but in this case, take away some of the contrast, because it makes the body stand out a bit too much, I think. Also, those flowers, just like wow. I studied roses. I sat there for ages staring at so many refs and trying over and over until I eventually got it. So I know how hard it is to draw them. That's very nice. Very good.
Mhm. And I know we talked about this before stream a little bit, but the obvious one, I hate to go for that obvious one, but we have no pupils or anything, no whites of the eyes. And I know with watercolor, once you get color down, there's no going back. But something that a lot of people do to get around this is get white gel pens, and they'll fill in whatever whites they missed with the white gel pen. Just the key is not to overuse it, because when you start scribbling over, it'll fill. Or gouache. White gouache will cover up watercolor. So
Oh, cool.
two options for you to look into for getting the whites back into the picture. 'Cause I know
Totally, completely awesome. Agree. What's gouache?
gouache. Gouache. Think of it like the baby of watercolor and acrylic paint. It's like those two
Okay.
got together, had a baby. It sort of acts like watercolor, but is opaque like acrylic.
Sort of
So
makes me think of like really liquidy Tipex.
Tipex.
Maybe, I don't know, something like that.
I don't know what Tipex is.
Oh, it's like the stuff sort of like a little pot of paste that you sort of paint over stuff in a little brush.
Whiteout?
Like white. Oh yeah, I think that's the American name for it. Whiteout. It's just called Tipex.
Making cultural connections.
Yay. So yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. Would that be similar? Would that be an apt?
Not quite.
No.
Okay. Still,
because that's like super fast drying and plasticky,
right.
and this is actually like paints. It can be watered down like watercolor and be spread out like watercolor, but like I said, if you keep it, in its form, it can be opaque and cover things and still mesh well with watercolor.
It does sound like it'd be really useful for filling in those white areas.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like what sort of, like, obviously they won't be able to respond to this now unless I don't think they're in the chat, are they?
Mm-mm.
No.
Well, so I'm trying to figure out, like, so what sort of theme and feel are you going for the picture? What sort of story is happening here? Because she's got a very, like, not shocked, but, like, kind of surprised face. Like, she's a little bit alarmed, a little bit sort of, like, oh, goodness, like, she's just kind of surprised by this one. You're not scared, but just, like, she's got that sort of, that tone to her face, to expression. So it's like, is that sort of what you're really going for? Because I feel like something, for the rest of it, you've obviously got it very, very soft and colorful and pretty. Like, you've got these lovely splotches in the background that making up this nice theme. So it feels like you were going for something softer and warmer. So it feels like that would fit Fluttershy more if you were to give a bit of a softer, smiley, and maybe warmer expression. It doesn't have to be, of course, because I can tell you don't want to go for like ultimately cartoony here. You're trying to give it a bit more elegance. That much I can see, but you can easily sort of like experiment with mouth shapes and stuff. That's a horrible color. To draw out sort of like what it is you're trying to accomplish. Just twist with things a little bit, because as we say a lot, like even the smallest little line changes can change the feel of the picture in very drastic ways.
Yeah, and I would also play with that nose shape, because to me that looks like a human nose, like the bare outlines of a human nose with the bridge of the nose and then the end tip of the nose. So unless you're going for a human nose, I think it looks a bit odd on her, especially with such large eyes and ears, and then all of a sudden her nose and mouth are very tiny. Especially like with ponies having muzzles, it's like pretty much taking that muzzle off the face. They need a little bump, a little something. It doesn't have to be like the cartoony, curve. It can be a little point if you want.
Yeah.
Just something a little bigger, and that the bridge line, the one that's right here, I don't think you need that. That's definitely more of a way to define a human nose. The bridge of like a horse's nose would actually just come right from the eye, but from this position we wouldn't.
Yeah, definitely.
Quite.
It's hard to draw in high detail on this, but I hope I can sort of give you a bit of an understanding from what I put. Because I love, I mean, doing like the sort of really simple, small size, sort of like broader, more cartoony style for ponies is really nice, and that's sort of my default setting. But sometimes it's nice to go like really zoomed in and go really high detail with the face, and it's not just like making the hair really high detail and the fur and stuff, but it can also be just like very, very subtle control of contours to like the smile and like eye direction and eyebrows, all the things, because these things are small and subtle and they don't jump out to you, but when they combine together, they are a combination of the most important things of the picture. It's the expressiveness of it. It's like the eyebrows. I mean, clearly, again, these are like the eyebrows here are in a very simple, calm position. They're not like they don't follow the alarmed look that the mouth was sort of implying. So even with the mouth change like this, these big eyes feel very docile and these eyebrows feel very docile. So already it's looking a lot calmer and a lot more fitting to these pretty flowers and everything. But if you're working bigger, particularly if you go into digital, or just like working on bigger canvases, you can go into really like making the most like subtle detail, where every line is exactly where it needs to be to put off the exact like set of emotions that you're trying to put forward. But just really try to understand the character in your picture and the picture itself and what it means, what it feels.
Yeah. I honestly don't have much else to say. I think it's lovely. If you want to push yourself, maybe let it, like, you have it dry now, like maybe next time you do a piece, have it dry to this consistency and then go back in and push the shadows. Go back in with more color. Because the thing with watercolor is like you want to take multiple steps, stop, let it dry, then go back in, and you really get that nice layer. They'll get more depth, you'll get more interesting color on without having the color all bleed into each other when you like do the first pass and it's all wet still. So yeah, that would just be for next time. Push yourself because this looks really nice.
Now I'm just doodling a pony face and
Doodle.
it messed up. I usually start with the eyes.
Blue.
Not seeing. You guys really addressed pretty much everything. Yeah. Shall we move on to the next one?
Let's do it.
So very nice art. Hope to see what you do in the future.
Yes,
Now
I love traditional art.
Yeah.
More traditional art.
Do it.
Which is next, Mr. Zombie?
It's gonna be the Scoots. The Scoots is by Scoots. No, it's by Mr. Halo755 again. And I'd love to know how I did with these eyes, ears, wings, and anything else you guys would like to point out.
So firstly, this atmosphere, oh my god, that's really good. I just want to say that off the bat, like before we get to the actual like critiquing. It's just like the blur of the house in the background is just gorgeous, and like the clouds and the grass, it's perfect.
It feels really nice. It really does.
It really fits the grayscale. Like it looks beautiful. It's like a really well done photograph. Like honestly, and I mean that like both in like the like a little bit in the skill of the drawing, but also like just the atmosphere that photography like puts forward. Anyway, so I feel like I don't know if there's anything specifically wrong with the mane, but it does feel off to me. I think it's just too voluminous, particularly here at the front.
I think there's one major thing off about the mane.
Yeah?
It's just sitting on the head. There's no hair coming out.
Oh, yes, that's it. Yeah. So essentially, I'm going to need a lighter color now. I'll keep trying to switch it up. Essentially, you are going to need... There is a point where it's going to come out. So you're going to have the hair like split off into sort of sections. And it's going to be coming out... Because, you think about real hair, there's a parting... Yeah, sorry. There's a parting, isn't there? It comes out with a particular point, and then it's going to emerge and grow from that point as it goes throughout.
I would say that's a bit high, Fluffy, because
I think. Oh yeah, it's hard to think because, as I said, it's a bit it's a bit voluminous. It's kind of hard to figure out. I'm just still trying to think because I know for some of the that helps a lot because with some of the MLP stuff they typically looking at the back of the manes they'll have it sort of cut off where like the bangs go in, but that's like in the MLP style in a way that I was working with. They sort of have it come out from the ear.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah.
So what I like to do, yeah, because MLP hair can be weird at times. Some characters have that really perfect like horse aesthetic going on. Like you think Rarity, because she has just a mohawk coming out, in Fluttershy they have sort of mohawks coming out, and that's much more realistic to actual horses because it's like a line of hair coming out. Where some ponies have like this big, bushel of hair, and it's all like hair everywhere, and it's like more human than what would come out of a horse. So you kind of have to play with that. And whenever I'm confused about hair, I just think of a horse and how a horse, you'd apply it to an actual horse. Like,
yeah,
how the top mane would be separated from the back of the mane and where it would be separated. Like, you can look at pictures of horses and kind of see that dividing line where they start having stuff go down their neck. So that would be my suggestion. Look at horses to really get the idea of where the mane splits in the back. Because I see a lot of people have trouble with portraying the back of the head because the mane is difficult.
Oh yeah, definitely. I struggled with this. I still do. It's very hard. I use like the MLP references and like photo of actual horses, like Ali said. It is very tricky to figure out how it goes, especially if you are just sticking to like MLP style or something close to it, because it's like you have to figure out how the line, because you're essentially drawing block shapes that represent something. Like the hair you've drawn here, it looks like a bundle of fluff. It doesn't look like a block that's shaped like hair. Um, and of course, hair in real life is a bundle of fluff. It's just sort of thinking about how that applies. See, that looks very nice, Ellie. A trick that I learned. So what do I want to say? Something I learned way back, well before ponies, when I was like drawing anime stuff, like humans, is so obviously I wouldn't be saying this wasn't like a general point. But what I sort of learned, and this has been useful, even though I always struggled to apply it in this sort of way that the sort of function that I was actually taught it for, it still has come in handy. Is you pick a point, right, and the hair comes out from that point. So I've got a point here. I'm like, okay, so like the fringe is going here, and it's going to bend this way, you know. So it really helps, and the same goes for like the back of the hair too. So it really helps you to sort of define, okay, that's where that's coming out, and you can continue to go even if you had like a character with super long hair. It can still end up at this position, going towards this point on the head. And while of course what you've got here is a lot more realistic than just drawing like cartoony or anime hair, where you've got like shapes and everything. What I suggest doing is, before you get into all these wonderful strokes, is to start by just drawing it out as if it was a cartoon. Just okay, so I've got like the strands here, and then as you go over it the next time, then you can say, hey, okay, so like at least now I know, like I'm gonna do it all hairs and stuff, but like I sort of know where the major clumps are going, because that happens to like your actual hair, of course, like it tends to clump together, and then there'll be a few loose strands, but that will help you to define a lot more shape to where it's going, as well as you've already figured out by then like how it's overlapping, where it's coming from, and where it's going, and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, sometimes myself, I'll just do what I did to draw the hair onto your pony, which is just kind of like, okay, here's my pony. Look into the back. There's the ear. But I'll actually, because sometimes it's hard to remember, but I'll actually just like, I'll start drawing hairs coming out of the head, and then like slowly shape it and let the form take its place.
Keeping it messy, keeping it light.
Yeah, because this is like your first sketch. You're figuring things out. You're figuring out that flow. It doesn't have to be the preciseness. And then you kind of, when you have your shape going on, you can go back over it and isolate. Like, okay, so the hair will kind of do this thing and
yes, very
stretch
very
out
yes.
front, and
Because this is actually a really good example. Because we've talked a bunch about like starting messy. Oh, I love the flow of that hair. That is really nice. But we talked a bunch about sketching messy and then building it up and stuff. This is a great example of what you're doing right now, because what you started with that green, it's so messy you can't really tell where parts are starting and ending. But that's the point, because it's not meant to be defining stuff. It's meant to be giving you an overall area, a shape to sort of help your brain work out. Because as we said before, it's like if you move over to just a blank part of this canvas, your eyes don't know where to go. But as soon as you have something, which my tools do not allow, it's like, okay, now my brain has somewhere to sit and I know where to place things now.
Mm-hmm.
So you do that first, and it's very, very rough, very loose, very messy. It's not accurate.
A gesture drawing, but just for hair.
Exactly, and you can do that for the rest of the body too, and every object. Like, okay, there's a house here. Yeah, there's the house. There we go. And then as you go in, you're like, okay, well, this is obviously very messy, and it's going to take me like an hour to rub it out because the tools don't go very big in here. But it's like, okay, now so that's the area where the house goes. The house is, I guess, sort of like this, and then like, now it's looking more like a house. And then the next time you can go through and add even more detail, because that's like you can build it up, and that helps, instead of then spending half of your effort trying to figure out where everything is going. You're spending most of that effort. You've already sorted that out, so then you're spending the effort actually just getting it how you want it to look, if that makes any sense, But that's all I really had. The main, I suppose, as well. The wings, I feel, are very pointy. They feel very like arrowy, and I'm not sure like I don't think they feel a little bit unnatural.
It's
'Cause
almost hard to comment on because we can't see enough. Like, I definitely agree. I feel
Yes,
the feathers are
yes,
too
that's what I was
pointy.
thinking as well.
Yeah.
Um, but it's I will say just from what we can see, just think of this rule in MLP. There are very, very few straight lines. Everything is very soft, rounded, and gentle. It flows around each other. You're not going to have anything jagged. Like these wings are kind of knife shaped. You know, they're very solid, rigid objects. You know, this is a direct line, whereas it wouldn't really go like that. It's a feather. It's a loose thing. It's like, oh hey, I'm a feather. I'm all light and gentry. I'm made up of bristles on a spine. You know, it's a gentle thing. So your wings are going to be just as like soft and fluffy. So you can have that bit of the curve in as you were trying to do, but just sort of again look at the MLP references in the show, in the movie, and for some tutorials for bird wings, because those really help to give you like an idea of how they sit and how they move. Wings can be tricky, but they can also be super duper fun if you take the time to sort of like learn how it is they function.
They function on black magic, as far as I can tell.
Pretty much.
But on MLP, it's just equestrian magic, which is rainbow magic. and
Remember
of course,
those rainbow power designs?
All right, we ready to move on?
Yes, sir.
yeah, I think so.
All right, we are...
although they did say about the eye, I feel like the eye is okay. Just like as long as you're sort of thinking about where it is from a 3D perspective on the side of the head, then you should be all right.
Yeah.
So the next picture is any tips on shading would be appreciated. Thanks for looking, and it is by Philly Fillet. I like that name. So shading.
This is cute.
Don't use that airbrush like that.
Yes.
That's my first tip.
Yeah.
And it also feels like there's no place. Like I feel like I don't know where the light's coming from. It's kind of, I see light lines everywhere.
So I think to summarize everything that's going on, which is kind of hard, that's the point, is because this image is quite chaotic. Essentially, my thinking is like there's a lot of bend to everything in this picture. Like the ear, for example, it doesn't just like have this shape. It's good not to conform to straight circles and everything. Use your contours, that's great. But like you can see, there's like sort of a bit of it bends out here and then back in and up and then around, and the same goes for the inside of the ear as well, and the mane as well. It's like your lines are all kind of wobbly. I mean that's fine. I mean the lines themselves are really clean. They're neat, and I can tell you've done the big swooshes. That's great. But the only reason I bring that up is because the shading also gives that effect. You've got like the airbrush, and you've kind of like what is this like, you know, shape defining here? I can see you've tried to put a bit in of, you know, okay, so here's the nose bridge, here's like where the main casts a shadow, but it's like it's not well enough defined that it jumps out as that. It kind of gives the impression that this is just like if it was a clay model. So then obviously you've got all the little bumps and divots from your fingers as you're molding it. That's kind of what it feels to me. And I think it's because of that like sort of airbrush that like LD mentioned. It throws it off a little bit.
It muddies up a picture. So
yeah,
very much.
Here's how you should start with any shading, especially if you're brand new or newer to it. Pick a light source. Just start with one, because one is going to make your life easy. Draw it on your picture. This is easy because you got digital. If you don't have digital, I don't know, grab an object and stick it somewhere. Your goal is so you always have consistent light source. In this case, I've drawn a 3D arrow. This arrow is pointing from about your left shoulder if you're standing above your screen. All right, that light source is going down towards your horse. Now, from that angle, we get to paint the light onto your horse. Why do we choose a singular angle? Because, as I said earlier, it makes life easy. And our goal is to make life easy before we make life hard. So we're going to take this light, we're going to just start painting it on. And you're just going to continuously ask yourself, will the light be touching this area? And you're going to go, oh, it's going to be touching the ears. Why? Because it's on this angle. It's going to be touching the side of the face here. It's going to be touching the hair. And it's going to be touching this hair over here. It's going to be touching her nose. Muzzle thingies. It's going to be touching the shoulders. It's going to be painting up the wings. It's going to be painting the shoulders. You're just trying to grab edges to start. And then you're going to work out from there. Alright? Once you have your edges defined, now work inwards towards the rest of the body. Well, if the light's hitting the shoulder, it's probably going to expand a little bit in. Something like that, something like that. We have this ridge that you want to form here. That's fine. We get to define that ridge with your nice shading that goes on here. So we're going to do it something like this. And look, now that ridge has been defined. And those wings are pretty much directly in that light source. So you just get to define the little edges of the feathers, and that's about it. It doesn't have to be intense, because it's a choice of light. Do you want it to be a bright spotlight? Is she on the middle of a stage? Then if she is a single spotlight on a stage, then it's going to be a silly intense light. If she's just standing out in the sun, well, everything's bright, so it's not going to be a ridiculously strong singular light. So once you've built up your picture a bit, now you get to build up the darks. And it's basically the inverse of what you did for the light. You go, oh, time for some darks. Well, there's going to be shade all over here because that's the opposite of the light. We're going to get some shade off this lovely, lovely chest fluff. How about the side of the face here? Oh, and it's definitely going to be tucked inside of that mane there. And the other side of the muzzle here. We're gonna put some up on the side of the eye here because it's inside there. Oh, how about inside the ear too? Because that's covered. You know, it's the ears are little umbrellas.
Little pony umbrellas.
And so you've built this entire thing up and you've gone, oh my gosh, I think I'm done. No, not quite there yet. Now once you've built it all up with a hard brush, you're going to go in with, my suggestion would be a blending brush. You're going to start pulling it around and blending it into a smoother gradient between them. I can't show you that on here because this program sucks for that.
Yeah.
But trust me, if you're using any art program that's worth its grain of salt, which is now including 3D paint that comes with Windows, it has a blending brush. Just figure out how to use it. Unfortunately, I don't know which paint program you're using, so I can't tell you how to do that. But try it. Give it a go. And you might find the hard shadows that it forms not your thing. That's fine. Just start with hard and work your way down.
Mm-hmm. And if you ever want any additional help, if you come into our Discord, and we can talk a little bit more if we know what program you're using, and like maybe we can help you do some settings and layering things that can help you, get a better result. Just saying, pop by, come check it out. Discord. Plug.
Tell your friends. Wait, no, we are telling your friends. Join us.
Wahaha. But yeah, Samsam, you nailed it perfectly. Mwah, beautiful critique.
Nice. All right, do we want to move on to the next one then?
Let us tally ho.
I do gotta say, I love this pony. I wanna boop her.
Do it.
Shake it, Philly.
Shake it, Philly. All right, so we got. I think it's Punky Pie. No, it's the pink horse. Hello, just finished this one. Anyone have anything to say about it? See anything weird, shading bad? Appreciate anything that will help me become better. And it is by Cormino. Now, Cormino, we saw you had 2 pictures submitted this week, so we talked about it between us, and we decided this one has more going on, so we're going to critique it. It was awesome. All right, so let's do this. We got Pinkie Pie partying like it's 1980. No, she has a Bluetooth speaker, so. Yeah.
So I'm just on these cute little hoosies, as she puts it, in the Too Many Pinkie Pies. So the first thing that jumped out to me was the one on the floor. It's really hard finding a pen that stands out with everything. Oh my god.
Yes, my son.
Red. Use red
So
for
yeah.
everything.
Even then, it's not as good on the tail. It's just like it's so hard to find a color. Anyway, yeah, the hoof on the ground, like the shading's what jumped out to me first because it really shouldn't just drastically shoot down to, oops, I mean exclamation mark. It shouldn't shoot down to the edge of the hoof because that like implies that. Okay, so what we have here right now, so far, this hoof is very flat and square, like it's literally just this shape. It's just a square object. Light is shining directly at it from this angle, and that's like not what you're going for here. You can tell that like shadows going down from upwards. So like what you need to do is just like make the hoof. Firstly, it should be rounder on the bottom anyway, and then like the shading will ease into it. Make it a round object because these are round legs, so you want round shading and not square shading. Does that make sense? Even on the ground, I know you sort of been like, oh well, it's on the ground, so it's like flat, but they're not that squishy. They are hooves. So and from the perspective we're seeing, we're definitely going to see the 3D shape of the hoof. My color went back to blue. We are seeing it from slightly above, not like directly onto her. So you're going to see the roundness, and this hoof is just a bit too thick, and sort of just work on the angle because it's also very flat on the bottom. So actually, it should probably be more like this. And just make sure that it's balanced with the other hoof. Remember to it is easy to forget, but remember to take a step back and say, okay, look at all of my characters' legs. Are they all in the right place? Are they all the same size? Because it is surprisingly easy to forget that and end up, oh, these legs are way thicker than these ones. Oh no, Discord, don't pop the balloon.
Meow. Why would you do that?
I would say that like the colors in this are very clean. I really like the use of like gradients and like the hair shading. It's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
The lines are very, very clean.
But I will say, you have shading on Pinky, but you have no hard shading on the boombox or the balloons up front or the table. It has a little gradient, but Pinky has some hard shadows, and so should other things.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta get that picture in harmony.
Yeah, very, very much so. I mean, it won't take too much for the balloons because again, they're just a very round object. Actually, my blue will probably work here because it'll look like shading. Okay, so you just make it round. If it's round, it's round. It's pretty easy to figure out. So you have the shading. Well, actually, that's the wrong angle. It should be the other side. Because of looking at your light source. And now you can only undo so far. But I hope that sort of gives you an idea. The boombox and desk and stuff are a little bit harder to figure out, but I'm sure you can get your head around that. Just look at the shape.
Yeah, and our resident fluffer brings up a good point. Things in the foreground are usually a bit darker because you want them to be in front and show that depth, but you don't want them to take the stage. So having really bright balloons or something in the foreground, if they're just as bright as the midground and the background, you're not going to get that same effect. Keeping things darker in the foreground, this front area, it'll help push your image and it'll look nicer.
Yeah.
I hope my estimation of the light source is correct. As we were saying on the last image, pick one direction that it's coming out from.
Anyone got anything else?
Yeah, I think this is really nice.
There is something missing here. She doesn't dance alone. She dances with friends.
Yes, as in friends. Oh, there's Gummy, but unless she's practicing with Gummy while she's waiting for her friends to show up.
Maybe she's setting up the party.
Touche.
You ever dance and set up the party?
Oh, a little friend is joining her. It's like a tiny dancing phone.
But yeah, I'd say I definitely love this. I think if you want to push yourself, get some more textures going in there because right now everything's a bit flat. Like the carpet is flat, the wood only has a few grains. Like that's really nice, but we can push that a little more, make it like actual. Maybe get some boards going. Maybe the wall could have stuff on it. Give it some life, something going on. Just little things, and like the tablecloth here. I'm assuming it's a tablecloth. I could be wrong, but have some folds in the cloth, make it like a tablecloth.
Didn't you know Pinkie Pie starches her tablecloths?
Oh, right. Wow, it's a strong starch.
Did you what? What does that mean?
So to starch some, yeah.
Oh.
So it really stays flat and you will not get a wrinkle.
Oh yeah.
Used to do with
I see.
clothes.
Because yeah, that could definitely be rounder.
All right.
Unless you just want it to be a blue square, which is actually how thought it was. Because I'm used to sort of trying to figure out how you shade just like straight squares like that when I have like cupboards and things. So like that's kind of where my brain went when I saw that.
Does anyone from the peanut gallery, I mean the crowd, our chat,
The comments section.
the Stanley section, have anything they would like us to critique?
There currently are no comments in the Picardage stream.
We have
Oh,
one.
we just got one. Yay, Lula Moon. Just as I was saying that you
And
are
people,
fantastic.
feel free to drop them in ahead of time. You don't have to wait till we're finished,
Yeah.
because that way we can have them queued up and we can just go.
Lula Moon gave us a Lula Moon.
We actually bust our order and get to yours. That's how
Yes.
we do this stuff around here.
Yeah, those who are here get to go first because they can actually respond to us in the chat, and then we do all the ones from the Reddit.
Totally preferential treatment.
It just means you should come to our streams.
Totally. Oh, come on. Doing stuff with tablet pens. It's the worst.
Tisk tisk.
You ever tried to play a video game with the tablet pen?
I might have.
I can't say I have.
You should try and
Though
play
I
a
did
first-person shooter with one.
Oh god, no.
Oh
Why?
no, thank you. No, maybe it's like one of those puzzle games and you have to like move the mouse along like a line. But like, I'm not gonna like go playing Call of Duty with a tablet. Thanks.
1 sec, playing
Fucking hold
PUBG. Oh my gosh, I want to try that. Will that even work?
I can't imagine.
I kind of want to try it.
Well, we know what you're streaming after this.
PUBG Tablet Edition. Ah! Oh my gosh, I'm sniping so well.
Just shifting your hand back and forth rapidly with like your tablet pen. It's like, are you arting? No, I'm killing.
Please nerf tablet pen. Too
I'm
strong.
painting with blood.
All right, Lulu Moon Arts, you got any questions about this one for us?
Very cute.
I like the eyes.
Yeah, I like the nuzzle, the snout,
The nuzzle?
the muzzle. I don't know to say.
You got some little Freudian slip there? Hmm?
She needs to be nuzzled by a starlight.
He's just shipping it already. He's just full out shipping.
Come on, it's like the OTP for these two.
The hair on the back of the head kind of feels.
I'd agree. Like we talked about earlier, it feels like the hair is just sitting on the head. There's nothing really like coming out, you know. Sometimes there's just like a nice hard edge coming out behind
you've got it like the flow between the hair from the front to the back works, but as we were saying earlier, if you're around for that, again it'll be coming out from here, so really you don't need to worry about it's coming at the same angle. As long as you sort of do show like, yeah, the hair's coming out from here and then it's going down, you know, or wherever you want to place your hairline.
Different angles make things more exciting. It gives your eye more to look at. It's like I'd consider this a tangent, the way the hair is drawn right now, because like Fluffy did say, it kind of like flows into itself. So I am connecting that with my eyes, that it's just, you know, hair sitting on top of the head and not coming out of the head. It may just be a personal thing, but that's...
Oh my gosh.
Why is she saying that?
Here you go, Zach.
Oh, I thought it was like that she's so excited to hug Trixie, and then just saying, "You go, Zach." Like, what did I do? That one letter makes all the difference.
That's a comma. That would be a comma.
No, it was an R. It was an R.
English. All right.
Giant R. Okay, I get it.
This stream isn't silly at all, no.
No.
More silly. It's more fluff. More being flagged, which we haven't actually done yet. Apart from LD covering ABBA.
That's fine. They ain't around to complain.
Actually, hold on. I need to look up a picture of a vector of Trixie for a second because I think I have something, but it might not be the case. Give me a sec. You guys can talk about stuff while I'm doing this.
For all
So,
the sorry,
oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna cut you off here.
Do it. Do it.
Okay.
Pull and rank.
For all the very sharp edges you have, your eyes are very unsharp. Like this
I was
transition.
just about to talk about that.
Oh my gosh, Allie, great minds think alike.
Anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah, for this transition between the black and the purple feels. I mean, it kind of looks cool, but at the same time, the fact that there is no hard edge across there, like you would have in every creature's eye, as far as I know, throws it a little bit off, especially with your beautiful, beautiful lines you form here. How can we mix the two? Well, like I said in the previous stream over there, previous pictures, go grab your blending brush, your pull brush, no, your blur, no,
Blur blending.
it's a blending brush. Basically, it's just gonna grab it and pull color around. You're gonna use it on your black. And you're gonna grab it and just pull down across this edge here. What that's gonna do is that's gonna take across the side of it. It's gonna take that purple and just flatten it out with the black, but still leave it as though it's a hard, a mixed edge.
Mm-hmm.
It creates an interesting transition between it. I've done it a few times and it makes me happy when I do it. For the few times I do digital art, that is.
Yes.
Traditional. Love it. More. Anything you'd like to add to that, Miss Claw?
Yeah, I'd say like, because one of the things I also wanted to mention, it feels like the eyes and the body are done two completely different styles. The body being completely in hard shadow, and the eyes having all this soft and painterly and glowiness. It's like, I want that from the body too, or to simplify the eyes, like,
Yeah. Either way, bring
or
one to
maybe
the other.
in the middle somewhere where the body gets some oomph to it instead of just cell shading. Like, give it some oomph.
We're getting fluffy balloons down there. That's what I'm left. And a fluffy gator.
That
My gosh.
Surprise me.
No, we needed more fluff. This is the 2-year stream. Come on. CPC is just bringing it. But yeah, the only thing I was going to say ended up not being a thing. I was mistaken. I was sort of wondering if the cutie mark should be lighter than the body, because I was thinking maybe her coat was lighter, but no, I was wrong. So that's fine. The other thing though, I don't entirely like the creases on the cape here. Like I feel like you're trying to show the body shape there, but they look a little bit strange. Like the lines, looking at the lines, I get the feeling that you're not entirely confident with them because you're probably unsure yourself. I don't know what this is. Like it's not really like her thighs going up here, her body's coming out here. So actually, if I leave that and then just erase, I can't get it back. Okay. Thank you, draw a pile. So it's something like this. So if I just make that faint, this brush goes from like 1% to like 99% straight away. So with that, the creases, there's going to be a lot of pull, sort of around this area where the thigh is. It depends like how the cape is sitting and where it's been pulled. If you do this, you can sort of then draw it into where it's creased at the side here, because that's obviously what you're trying to do as well. Because you're like, oh, it's flopped over onto the ground. So really, really pull the cape over. Think about how it's going to be bunched here on the ground. That was terrible. I'm not doing a very good job of this at all. But fabrics are hard, but you can do much better. I know you can do much better than this. It's just because it's like it shouldn't really thin out. I guess it kind of does because it's a cape. So I see what you're doing. I definitely see what you're doing. It just feels like it sort of fell flat a little bit. Like think about the weight. Like the cape's pulling down, and here it's resting, and then it's just flat. So it's like thinking about where those creases go, and how to sort of show that with the cape. And again, like we've said in sort of like the drawer cloth going over it, you can sort of like make this look a little bit more like it's sitting over the body and not just like attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then give yourself some nice fabric. Look up some tutorials because there are some great stuff on fabrics that it does sort of feel intimidating when you look at it, but all it needs is like a little bit of practice, and you can really get the hang of it.
Like, the best thing I can suggest, like, I know everyone has a towel, because everyone takes showers, I hope, or baths. Someone to dry themselves. Just take that towel and drape it over something. And that's how you practice.
How do you know we don't just like jump in a river and then stand T-posed in the sun?
I mean, just T-pose. What is this, Gary's mod?
Yes.
But yeah, like, come on. Or sheets, or I know you have clothing. Hopefully, I mean, if you're naked, more power to you if that's what you enjoy. But literally, the best way to like see what fabric does is to see what fabric does. You can't
definitely.
do that.
100%. Especially if you've got like a cosplay dress up like cape, like a Halloween cape, like a wizard or witch or something, and you can just like drape it over places. I've had a couple things like that for like dressing up and stuff, especially something like silk, and I imagine that being sort of what Trixie's cape is made of. And just like see what it does, drape it, look at where the creases go. It can be very complicated. Silk especially has lots of like very well defined curves and creases, but it depends what sort of material you do want to go for. I definitely imagine being silk. That just feels like a magician's thing.
Shiny silk.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But it's just even if you sort of like go out to like a dress up store and find one and just like look at it, just to get the feel of it, or just look up reference pictures online if you can't do any of that stuff.
Yeah. And like just learning how fabric reacts, because right now like we just kind of have the fabric. Let me get a different color. Right now we just kind of have this fabric, it ballooned over. There's so much that can be done, because it's like we're demonstrating now that it's touching a surface what it would do differently, but right now it's just kind of like glooping over like it's slime. When fabric, when it hits something, there's going to be a contact, there's going to be a change. Fabric, unless it's like super stretched out, won't drape perfectly onto a hard surface. Like if it goes off something's body, it'll like, oh, there it goes. It bends. Oh wait, I'm under the image. So yeah, it'll
What are you
drape.
doing under there?
It'll drape, and then like if it's really long and like you're pulling the fabric, it'll have a nice curve to the end. But like with Trixie, it's like, okay, it comes off her body and then touches the floor. So like that's another thing to keep in mind with fabric. There will be points when it'll hit the floor, wherever it is, and then that it'll float on the plane of the floor and off the body. So that's something to keep in mind.
Dun. All right.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I was about to ask, is that it? I see how this is, Allie.
I'm just fighting you today. I'm so sorry. After the stream, it's going to be a death match between me and Zamzam.
Meanwhile, a narrative is appearing on the top right.
I already got my plushies ready. How about you?
You want to take on me, the maker of plushies? You want to take me on?
Are you trying to make a reference to get a flag here, Ellie?
Oh, God.
Silly Zamzam. You simply adopted this world. I was born into it.
This is the 2-year stream. We got to have like twice as much being flagged for stuff by Dino.
Yeah, fabric can be hard, but you got this, Lula. It's practice. It's one of those things you got to practice. I know you can practice because this pony is lovely. The anatomy is cute. The muzzle is super boopable. And you got some nice flow, so I know you can take on fabric.
Like I said, I know you can do it. You got this.
We got this together.
All right. Anyone else have any art they'd like critiqued?
Any pony?
Art.
Nay.
Going once.
So we probably should have told people like, hey, show up for the 2-year stream. There's more art and streaming going to be happening.
That would have been crazy, telling them what our plans were. What?
Yeah, like we did for the 100th.
Nah,
Just
it's
gotta. We're gonna
fine.
make them guess. Make them dance.
Dance, baby, dance.
I guess that's it. No other takers for our critique.
Looks like it. All right. So, what about you? Spellbound Canvas? What about you? What am I missing here? Am I missing a picture?
I thought they got critiqued.
We didn't. No. Looks like we did overlook it. Apparently, we overlooked it last week too.
Oh.
Save.
Twice. Aw. Was spellbound.
Oh, sorry, hun. We were coming back from break last week, so we were just we weren't full functioning yet.
Are they in the Discord or
They are in the Picarto chat.
just in the? No, yeah, I was looking at the comments. I was just wondering where they have a picture because I haven't seen a comment.
Reddit.
On Yeah. Okay. Cool.
It's too big. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, is there anything in particular? Because this seems like your normal stuff, so part of me is like, unless you have something very specific, I'm not quite sure what to tell you than what we've told you before. Personally, that's just my opinion. I don't speak for the rest.
2000.
But yeah, for me at least, it would be cool if there's anything in particular you wanted help with. Or there's like something you didn't quite like when you finished, or something that was hard and you don't understand how to fix it or something.
Yeah. It's looking very, very cute anyway.
Yeah.
Why am I seeing LD drawing it in on the draw pile? You pasted it, but it's like LD is just drawing this picture very, very quickly because he's just a master artist.
I am a robot.
Beep boop beep.
Reminds me of like Bebo and stuff, and you'd have like the whiteboard you could draw on, and there were like apps where you could like put a picture in, and it just like goes line by line, putting the colored pixels in, just makes the images.
So
And they hated that.
if there's something I can point out, your ponies don't look like they're interacting at all. They just sort of look like they're there, existing, much like a collab picture you'll often get, as you said. You're like, okay, let's look at Luna here, or Trixie. How about the right word? She is just sort of like on ecstasy, staring off into nowhere land. She's just whoof, right off over, not even looking at Glim Glam next to her. Not looking at Horse next to her.
Mm-hmm.
She's just sort of staring off. If you were to turn the head a bit, focus the eyes, you'd get her to look at Pony beside, or anything. Teacup in the air, something. Right now, it's just unfocused eyes. Same as well, actually, most ponies here. Like if we look at Fluttershy, she's just sort of staring off into cute pencil cases drawing here. We got Rarity doing Rarity stuff. That's fine. That makes sense. Applejack is looking up and beyond here towards maybe Rainbow Dash, but kind of beyond Rainbow Dash. Like her eyesight's going off towards this area over here.
Mm-hmm.
Just the only one who actually is looking at someone here is Twilight, who's actually looking down at Bacon Mane.
Bacon.
Am I drunk? No, not yet. It's still only a Tuesday.
Too many pony names.
There is a lot of names, and I'm horrible with names.
How dare you?
So, focus up your eyes. If you're going to do a large picture with a lot of different characters on it, having them actually interact and not all be on the same plane too, because this entire army up front, whoosh, one line makes up their entire area they're playing with. There is all the area between the couch and the camera for them to play with. You got, you could have some leaning up against the side of the couch, one over the corner going, "Hey, buddy, how's it going?"
You could have sunset partially under that table.
Yeah. A pony hiding in a tree. There's a lot of place to play with. Feel free to use it. If you start moving them around, like go look at a lot of large collabs by other artists, and you'll see that they're on a bunch of different layers or a bunch of different planes on the picture. They aren't all just foreground, background, midground. They're all
got some variety.
Exactly. Variety is the spice of life, and it makes the picture feel more lifelike. And I know it's weird saying pictures should feel lifelike because they're a bunch of little horses, but that's the case. You try and emulate life. Even go look at a picture of, say, your family standing around posing for a picture. You're all going to be in front of each other, behind each other, not just lined up in a straight line usually. Because a straight line makes a very uninteresting picture. Unless if it's a conga.
And it sort of like plays in a bit too much to something like we've talked about before about like having the characters also like spaced out like okay, here's the area, this because they're like, my pen's not working, so there's Applejack, and then there's Rarity here, and then there's Fluttershy here. They're also like they have their own spaces, and obviously it works better having them spaced out a little bit more when there's something these cute little chibi forms, and if you had them as full-size ponies, in which case I'd definitely say overlap them and just bring them together. But even so, you still kind of get that feel where it's like each of the characters is kind of spaced out a bit too much, and the composition feels like it could be squashed together. But I don't know. I mean, it's nice sort of being able to see them, each of them, but it just feels a little bit more surreal because, like LD said, it's not as much like realistic to how people would be if they were hanging out together. It feels like a bit too much like these are all like little dolls, and you have like a little play set. Like, okay, there's like the 3 spaces on the couch. Let's put 3 of these little toys here, and 3 of the figurines. Put all the figurines like laid out on the floor. How is this Pinkie Pie figurine standing up? It's just like it feels like it's a kind of a toy set, if that makes sense, rather than just like having the ponies all just like kind of I don't know, like LD said, find reference to actual people and like look at how they'd be spaced together in a group. Chaos Storm 2 has given us the Fluffigator. That's incredible. It's in our Discord. We have many sillies there. If you want to join
the Discord, it's silly.
Join the herd. I mean, the art group.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other things. I think another thing that stands out to me is that the eyes sort of feel like they lack consistency. Like, I know I'm all for different eye shapes and different, pupils and whatnot, but they almost feel like they're too different. Everyone has the same giant circle with the same giant darker iris. Wait, no, what's the black part?
Pupil.
Thank you. No problem. I feel like, I don't know, the consistency of those shapes are very different. Like, some have really ovally and some have just giant circles. And I think the hard part, it goes back to our original point. They're all kind of staring into space. I think if you had them move around the eye a bit more instead of them taking up most of the eye, because I feel like each eye we look at, they're all taking up the eye, so I see them differently because they're all practically the same amount showing if they're not showing at all. Like, no, the Twilights and Sunsets, it's about the same size. Pinkie's the same size. Then Applejack's is bigger, and then Fluttershy goes back to being thin, and then Trixie, giant eyes, and Starlight's really small. So it's like, I just would watch out for that consistency and maybe give them different angles to look at and things to pay attention to so they don't all seem so similar. Because the second they're all very similar, it's easy to tell how they're all different. If that makes sense. It's a nitpicky thing, but it's something I'm noticing.
Oh yeah, that's true. And consistency can be very hard, but I do notice a few things about the eyes, yeah, like you're saying, that are a bit off, just in the sizes. Just it's all very subtleties, just like where the shines are placed and the sizes of the irises and everything. Like it's all about like just looking between them and really trying to keep that consistency in place.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like Ali said at the start, you can have different shapes like they do in the show. That's fine. It's just
Yeah.
like keeping the science of how eyes work in place.
Yeah. Like I think the ones that really do it for me are like the super thin ones on Pinkie Pie, the small ones on Starlight, and then the giant one on
But
Trixie.
yeah.
Like they almost feel like they're following completely different eye structures.
Mm. Yeah, those are the ones that stand out to me as well, I think. The rest, like some of the others, look consistent
Yeah.
enough to work. It's just, I think those three particularly. I mean,
Mhm.
Applejack's the whole eye looks a little bit too big as well.
Mhm.
And I would say the rarities are close. They look a little bit too small. Dashes are fine, but like rarities close to eyes could be like a little bit bigger. Like maybe the left one, just make that one slightly bigger so it matches the right and goes to, like towards the nose a little bit more, because like a little bit placed off. Wait, if I just grab my pen, I can sort of like, why am I explaining? I can't zoom in. Help. Now my pen is white. That will not help. I shouldn't have held control. This is a disaster. Okay. If it was more like here. Oop, it's really hard to draw on this. Make it bigger. Yeah. Oh, wait, that was good. Most of drawing lines successfully is drawing it again and again and again until it works.
Unless if you're traditional.
In which case, it's drawing it carefully, then rubbing it out, and trying again and again and again until it's just longer.
They say that getting the three to sit on the couch was the hardest part. So I think this comes back to what we were talking about before and having variety in where they're sitting and how they're sitting. And not just that, how they're interacting with the couch. Right now, they're just kind of. It feels like they're in front of the cushions with the way how the cushions are drawn. It's like there's no, overlap. There's no like, oh, there are weights on it, so there'd be a little bit of cushion maybe going up on them, or something like that. But instead, it's like if we're looking at this like a 2D object, we just see. Let me get a better color. Maybe green will be good. We just see this rectangle. There is no depth to that rectangle, so it's almost as if Trixie's just sitting in front of that rectangle. So it'd be definitely start to play with depth and just figuring out how they interact with the sofa, how the sofa would, squish under them. Because they do have some weight. They'll have some, sofas are squishy. And just making that variety different. Maybe having them interact with the sofa, not just sit on it. Like Starlight could put one of her hooves on the arm of the sofa, and Derpy could be leaning against the side of the sofa instead of them all just, sitting. Like Fluffy talked about before, it really does feel like there's a bunch of dolls that are just kind of placed this then like working together and they were supposed to be together in the first place. Like that makes sense.
And that's definitely what I was sort of going for. I like the conga underneath. That's cute.
Something that really can help a picture out is just interaction and things interacting with each other.
Yeah.
Like the area and the ponies themselves. So my suggestion would be, whether you're doing it yourself or the next time in a collab, I would sketch out everyone together first and see how they could all interact with each other.
And like we were saying earlier, like messy sketch, just like work out the general shape and areas, like just general pony shapes. They just sort of look like ponies, like all together. Like the poses aren't exclusively defined. It's just like sort of what Cupid's Grace is doing down here. Just very loosely, like, okay, there's a pony in this sort of position. Like she's very good at doing this, so like she's pretty much nailing it first time. But like, don't be afraid if you have to like just do like a blob, like, okay, the hoof's going this way and that way, generally speaking, and then you go through and redefine it as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, a thumbnail sketch.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be
exactly.
big. It can be just something to get a little more interaction going on.
I always do my thumbnail sketches too small, and they become useless. But like, even if it's not the thumb, I would say doing a thumbnail too, even because like just like doing it for the actual picture as well can like help you block everything out. But do the thumbnail first, then do like the big one, because then you'll be going super serious with it.
But yeah, I really got nothing else to say. Unless you have any more questions, I think that will be all.
This
Alright.
I'm out. So I guess sit down then.
Last call for anyone who needs a critique. Otherwise, we'll be ending and probably going on to. I think there's a few people we're gonna multi-stream with and just have a good time, talk with you guys, maybe do some prompts from you guys.
Yeah.
We'll see. Have a little fun time since it's our 2-year stream anniversary.
Yay.
It's weird because it's not like our 2-year birthday. It's just 2 years of worth of streams. That makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
We just like celebrating.
Yeah, any excuse really. You ate a pickle. Celebrate.
Pizza. Pizza sent to everyone. Well, that's okay, Shelly Cake. You didn't have to draw something specifically for the stream, but
Yeah. The fact that you're here is awesome.
definitely. So, if there's no more art, last call, all aboard. No. Okay, seems like there's no one else. Yeah. So, who's in for streaming? Because right now on the multi-stream, I got this actual channel, BFC and Q Pencil Case. But I don't know if those guys are actually drawing.
I would draw, but I can't get over.
Yeah, Ali's thing is
work.
not working, unfortunately.
I'll just be troubleshooting while everyone's drawing.
So, BFC, do you want to draw with us, or? Or I could switch you if someone else wants to draw. Damn, I got Stardew Valley theme stuck in my head now. Ali knows I've been playing it too much.
There's never such thing.
I keep sending her screenshots. Be like, look what's happening.
I believe you're gonna tag in Dino, the lean, mean drawing machine.
Cool.
The Dino Drawler.
Alright,
Nice.
Are you going to invite this channel to the multi?
Yeah, it is already.
in.
Yeah, I'm just starting up my thing, so it should be dragging people. Invite. Yay! Invite sent to Strange, to Dino. Strange
So.
Dino.
Alright.
There aren't any more slots anyway, so it's me, LD, Q Pencil Case, and Strangeosaurus with the flags.
Flag.
Beautiful. This is a beautiful group of people. Beautiful.
Yeah. All of your beautiful ponies.
Flag.
My beautiful pony.
That's
White flag.
it's our own creation. It's about the users, the listeners of this channel, the lovelies,
Flag.
because they're nice enough to tune in.
Flag. I feel like Zamzam turned into a Pokemon named Flag.
Flagamon.
That's Strangeosaurus. I
Flag.
mean, he's even like a dinosaur monster, so that works perfectly. He's a Pokemon called Flagged.
Flagamon.
That Flagamon. That'd be Digimon. Oh, that is a nice background.
Was a nice one. It's now disappeared from existence.
Oh.
And I saw someone chat like, "That's a beautiful background." And then I turned to Star Trek. I was like, "What were you talking about? I can't see Star Trek in this." And then like it changed. Oh, okay. I guess the shadow kicks ahead of me. Oh, you can't see Picarto.
Yeah,
CPC.
Picarto's. It's being fishy to load in.
Being silly. Let me
I
have a
see
look.
missing thumbnail from the bottom corner. Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, strange.
This is time to open commissions for Q pencil cases. We're just going to.
That's a really nice little button there. I like that actually. If I open commissions, I'll probably do something like that. I like the way it's sort of like painted into the corner there. It's nice.
Yeah, it is. It's
My computer's just like, what are you doing opening this page with 4 different streams, one of which is your own screen? Or we'll be starting soon screen anyway. Let me just bring open the dashboard so I can have a little bit better. See, I wish I had like a second like PC or something, like a laptop or whatever, so I can like see everyone straight. Wait, I wonder if I can
just
do it on my tablet. I have a tablet now. I forget sometimes.
All right, I'm gonna run out, grab a drink, dance around for like 5 minutes, and I'll be back. Okay?
Sounds good.
Have fun dancing and drinking. Oh wait, that sounds really bad.
Nah,
sounds like you're going clubbing.
Let's
You're going out clubbing.
Let's hit stop recording.